Hello, children. Hello, my name's Gregory Fleet. I'm a famous writer and raconteur, actor, comedian. If you were to describe what the book is to someone, but you didn't use the word comedy at all, they wouldn't probably pick it up. They wouldn't go, oh, this sounds like a funny book. They'd go, this sounds really depressing.
Yeah.
It's really a story about a family and a marriage that's starting to fall apart, and these people wondering, the mum and the dad wondering whether they can and should stay together for the kids. And meanwhile, Benjamin is just all about showbiz, but also trying to repair his family as well.
I still don't think I have an amazing story, but when you start writing, I guess you certainly see patterns in your life and things emerge, and it's weird. You can piece together kind of a narrative out of your own life, even though when you're living the life, you don't think you're creating a narrative.
So what are the most common themes that you've worked with in this book?
I think obsession and addiction. I think the pursuit of love, I think, is a really big thing in this book. You know, like, be it romantic love, family love, the love of sensations,
Yeah, it's funny, because the book itself, it doesn't really have like a structure at all. That's sort of the dirty secret about the book. As much as it's a book, it's just this hodgepodge collection of a lot of stories by theme. So early on, when we were developing the show for television, TV is all about structure. And I guess one of the other practical considerations was the book has stories that take place from way before I was born, right up into my 20s. There's stuff in my childhood, stuff during puberty, stuff in my teens, and it's like, we can't hire that many actors. So what's the heart of the story that we want to show on screen? And for us, it's going to be the one summer where the family changes forever.
At what point in your life did you think I should write a book?
That's a really good question. And to be honest, I know this sounds like false modesty, but I didn't necessarily think that. It's not like I had this plan to write a book. On the other hand, I knew I wanted to be a writer, so I was writing for magazines, but I was mainly writing like arts journalism and stuff like that. And then I started writing more first-person personal stuff, and then I started realising, actually, there's some funny stuff to be mined in my family.
Years ago, I did a TV show called 10 Years in a Long-Sleeved Shirt, which was about drug addiction and stuff. And ever since then, I'd thought about it, but I wanted to make sure that I'd stopped using before I wrote it, because I knew that if I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to be lying and say, and I've stopped, and it's great, which I'd done so many times before. I just sort of told that lie.
My friend Nellie Thomas wrote a book, a memoir, and I read it and was just like so in awe of her having done that. And then not long after she did that and it was released, a publisher phoned me and asked if I'd thought about it, and she'd read my stuff online on like Mamma Mia and The Hoopla and wherever else, and so in that case, very, very rarely has this ever happened to me in my career, but in that case it actually fell in my lap, I have to say.
How did you find the balance between that dark stuff and the comedy? Did it just naturally come together?
I actually am of the belief that there's a pretty fine line between the two, usually. Like, I've been to some happy occasions which are really just miserable. I think all of us have probably endured a really horrible Christmas or birthday or Chinese New Year or something. And conversely, sometimes, moments that are tragic can end up really, really funny.
So what I found was great was writing these stories, and a lot of them were pretty heavy. But because being funny comes naturally to me, as you can tell, it was great for that, because you would take the pressure off, the really dark stories. You'd have this really hilarious thing in the middle of it, and people were like, "Oh God, thank God, thank God for the comedy."
Yeah.
What are your storytelling skills like in real life?
I think my boyfriend would probably say I rush the punchline too soon, because I'm like that kid. I'm like, and then he shot himself, you know, and I haven't even built up the tension or anything.
So it's like premature ejaculation with the punchlines. Just...
Yeah, completely. That's me. I'm like, it's like my mouth is my dick, and I've just come too soon. So that's me. I focus on the gross, and I premature ejaculate.
My storytelling skills are better than my joke telling skills, that's for sure. I can't tell a street joke, to save myself. And, you know, radio has taught me how to tell a story in 3 minutes and, you know, leave time to get the phone number out at the end and stuff. So I have a lot of practice now.
Has there been a time where you've written a story and it really sucked? Or even told?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What do you think was your worst piece of writing?
God, I don't know. But there are definitely things I've written that are crappy, or, you know, things that, you know, I think are a great idea, and I'll tell someone, you know, I'll be explaining the idea to someone, and I just watch them getting steadily more and more bored.
I tried to write a book about the sex industry and no one wanted it, and that's frustrating. I pitched it twice, and I still think it's a mistake, and I still think one day I'll get there. Someone will say, okay, now, for whatever reason, we can do it.
You know, there's a writer in Australia, I forget which one, but she described revisiting work as similar to an act of necrophilia, like you're fucking something dead. And I sort of feel that with my anything that I've written, whether it's a feature article or a book, when I revisit it, I sort of like hearing your own voice in a recording. You sort of curl up and want to die. And it's not that the work is necessarily bad, but you're always tinkering.
If you've learned to not fear failure, you'll take bigger risks, and the stakes get higher, and you'll write more beautiful things because you'll go for it rather than going, oh no, it might not work, so I better not. You know, if you actually go for it, you know, that's where the great stuff comes from.
I've actually finished all my questions. That was a good chat, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you write, my friends.